looking at the critical and contemporary issues facing the Muslim world from different perspectives, generating new ideas, bringing to you all this and a lot more in Voices from the Muslim World.
How President Erdogan is saying the world is bigger than five. This is very clear message, and because we didn't preserve the institutions that we had 200, 300, 400 years ago, we didn't build the new ones. The essential problem is within our societies, but we have to start with these small steps. Culture. We see that the implementation of the foreign ideologies during the 20th century brought nothing to the Muslim world.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome from ILKE Foundation, Istanbul. We are back here today with another episode of Voices from the Muslim World. Today, we are honored to be joined here by Associate Professor Dr. Admir Mulasmanovic, who is a senior faculty member at University of Sarajevo. Prof, thank you very much for joining us today. Without any further ado, if you allow me, we'd switch to the questions.
Thank you for the invitation, and I agree with you. Let's go to the questions.
So there apparently, I would say, is a unanimous consensus in the Muslim public and the Muslim intelligentsia that we are facing a lot of problems in the Muslim communities and in the Muslim world. In the first question, if I may just ask you that, in your view, what are the pressing problems of the Muslim world?
Definitely that the Muslim world is facing so many problems, so many obstacles. Unbelievable challenges, if I may say. And what are the reasons? It is very complex to answer, but I will try to summarize my thoughts and ideas about it in few minutes. Well, after the long period of decadence, and we can say that period actually lasted, probably still lasting 200-300 years, the Muslim world, at the first place, I think, lost its own confidence, and this is the primary problem for the Muslim societies. What I see, the confidence in themselves, the confidence in their values as well. And that loss of the confidence in the Muslim values, in the Muslim worldview, in the capacity of the Muslim world to develop its own economic, cultural, political structure, is something what is a huge burden of our generation, on the shoulders of our generation, that we need to stress somehow. So that loss of the confidence, for me, is at the first place, the major problem for the Muslim world, the Muslim societies all around the world. Second issue is, or second problem, how I see it, that we didn't confront modernity properly. And I say that we didn't confront modernity properly, it means that we didn't realize that quick, fast developing world, how it is changing reality and everything around us. And Muslims somehow stood out of these processes as an active player or member. This is also something what is causing huge drama, because what we can see that Muslim states and Muslim societies are trying to overlap that huge gap we had during the 19th and the first half of the 20th century. It is not easy. It is not easy if you were not the player in the arena on time, and if you didn't catch all important processes in that period. So the Muslims, when we speak about development, modern development, contemporary development, actually lost to be creator. We were receivers of the solutions given by the Western world dominantly. So if I need to emphasize something, I would emphasize these two things: loss of confidence and loss of the position in the world arena in the last 2 centuries, definitely. So let me for the fashion conclude with these two points. We can further probably talk about it more precisely. But this is from my point of view something what we have to be aware of, and something that we have to ways how to overcome that situation. At the first place, that loss of the confidence. I believe really that something radically has to be changed in our understanding. Sorry, in our understanding, what are our duties toward the states, toward societies, Muslim societies, and at the end, to be very frank, to be very open with you, what is our duty toward God Almighty?
Right. Thank you very much. I mean, from your unequivocal answer, we can understand that, this is coming from somebody who's got his fingers on the pulse of Muslim Ummah. So, if you allow me, from the second point which you have said, that the loss of position in the world of the Muslim Ummah, I mean, obviously it may have certain causes. Do you think that one of the causes is that the institutions, we do not have modern institutions, or we do not have institutions that are required to compete with the West, and that they are one reason for our loss of position in the world?
You make a point. I definitely believe that the loss of the mutual common institutions of the Muslim world is something that is still pushing us out of that world arena. When I said out of the world arena, in the context that we can change things, in our heartland, in Muslim geography, all around the world. How President Erdogan is saying the world is bigger than five. This is very clear message, and this proves actually where we are right now. This is something that we need to overcome in many ways. Why the Muslim world doesn't have the representative in the Council, or Security Council of the United Nations? Because of the lack of strong and efficient institutions. We know that we have some regional projects like GCC, or Organization of Islamic Conference. They are not strong enough. Why they are not strong enough? Because we didn't preserve the institutions that we had 200, 300, 400 years ago. We didn't build the new ones, and this is something that we, from my point of view, from my perspective, have to work on very quickly. We need to build the institutions which will prove and show the capacity of the Muslim world. When we reach that point, inshallah, we will also be able to contribute in that world arena and to protect our interests, interest on that.
Prof, sorry for intervening, but if I may ask from this question, a linked thing, that if we want to talk about institutions, what example can you give from the West that these are the institutions which we need to develop within the Muslim countries as well?
In many ways, we can speak about the institutions. For example, European Union. I am living in Bosnia, and I know what the European Union is. But we can speak about institutions such as NATO, right? Security organizations and institutions. We can speak about the ASEAN, for example, in Southeast Asia. When I say institutions, it means the organization which will gather Muslim countries under few important issues, few important questions common to them all, at economic level, cultural level, political level, at military level. I don't know what is going on with the Muslim governments. They don't want to enter the processes which are necessary, and we see that these processes are necessary to establish some political union, political body, military union to stop these atrocities and violence in the Fertile Crescent at the first place, in that heartland of the Muslim world, Middle East,
True.
North Africa, and Central Asia. If any other group, union with similar goals can establish NATO, Warsaw Pact, yesterday AUKUS, tomorrow Quad, why Muslims are not able to reflect upon their destinies and to say we need to create something here and to create secure environment for our people. Look what is going on with migrations.
Right.
From that part of the world, people are escaping and trying to find a future in the Western world. So
True.
these questions should be posed as soon as possible, should be answered properly. When I said properly, it means with the creation of the institutions, multilateral, multinational institutions, which will be able to somehow establish prosperity, tranquility, and peaceful environment for the Muslim countries. Our recovery is necessary. When I said our recovery, I mean recovery in Afghanistan, recovery in Iraq, recovery in North Africa, recovery in Sudan.
True.
We have so much in common, but because of that loss of the confidence, we are not able to step forward in that direction. We have to overcome it.
Okay, Prof, this is very interesting actually, what you have said. So if I just talk about the economic institutions, and obviously the biggest example can be the European Union itself. So what I can see, or what we all see, is that basically the concept runs like converging in the benefits of certain countries within the bloc. So in the whole system, they would benefit each other, and as a bloc also develop themselves. So on this front, you have criticized the governments, but do you not also think that there is also a utopian concept in the Islamic movements as well, or the Muslim movements as well, who are going before the cliches of Muslim Ummah and Muslim community and Muslim revival and renaissance, but they are not coming towards the pragmatic and smaller steps first?
Big stories, big stories are somehow better to hear and better to share with the people about Ummah, about one community and one society. But let's be frank about it. We know what we have in common, but
Exactly.
also we should know our differences.
Right.
And if we will be realists enough, we will understand that we have to start with the small steps. It means to gather those who have more in common. For example, in the
True.
Middle East, Turkey, North Africa. Steps, I suppose, and it should be like that, will prove to others that we are moving in the right direction and that they will join. But we have to start with these small steps. Culture. Let's have some mutual cultural events. Sport. Why not? Economy, of course. Mutual market. What is the problem? European Union started like that, and the European Union actually brought that market and the power of their industry to that level that every country, as you mentioned, within European Union, no matter how small it is, actually gained the benefits of it.
But
What do we have? What do we have?
if you allow me
in
that, a small thing related to it, that when we talk about Muslim countries, European Union can be a good example. But do you not think that when we talk about the Muslim countries and we compare the GDP per capita of countries like Qatar, which is like $100,000, and of Turkey like $20,000, and a country like Afghanistan that may be less than $10,000, so the disparities are too sharp to think something like European Union?
These disparities are too sharp. Yes, but when European Union was created, actually Germany has very high GDP. It was the same situation with France, with United Kingdom, etc. While the situation was different, for example, with Greece and the southern countries. Maybe not in that scale, like we will now compare Qatar or some other Muslim country with some let's say less developed Muslim countries. But measures can be found and established to overcome these problems in a decade or 2 decades. I mean, they are the economists, they are the experts in the field who can explain what and how to do, what to conduct in which period of time, not to harm rich countries, but to raise the weakest ones. If there is a will, there is a way. You know that saying.
True. Okay. So, I suppose that, to solve the problems, obviously in the first step, the true diagnosis of the problem is also required, of the disease is also required. So in that respect, if I ask you that there is also a concept within Muslim Ummah in different countries, in different movements which are in the Muslim countries, that a lot of problems in the Muslim countries are not intrinsic, they are extrinsic. If I say it more clearly, it is the conspiracies that are going against the Muslim countries. Do you agree with this, or do you think that this is just to remove the blame of ourselves, and then just make an excuse of not doing anything?
In that sense, I am thinking as a Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, and I am citing him very often during the First Crusade, when he said, actually, if you were not so weak, the Crusaders will not be here in your neighborhood. So the problem is at the first place with us, how we are behaving, what we are doing. The secondary is the result of that behaving, that people or I will not say the enemies, but they are interfering in your domestic issues, trying to make so many obstacles for you. This is the result of your weakness. So if the Muslim world, Muslim societies will start to develop themselves, to raise their awareness, what they have to do, how to do it, to connect themselves with the other Muslim states and the societies, then easily that threat will disappear, because you will build your strength, which will be let's say for the foreigners who would like to distract you, to attack you in any way, a signal not to do it. So yes, the essential problem is within our societies, and the essential problem is within us. The loss of the confidence, the loss of our values. We are still believing, and we love to be Muslims. We are going to mosque, but we are not ready to carry these values and to be Muslims as we should be in the societal, in the statal way. When I say that, it means that we have to think about what kind of the environment we have to build for our kids, what kind of education, what kind of the cultural features we should have, what kind of the military organization, what kind of the foreign policy, what it should be. So many things. But if we will gain that trust in our values, in ourselves, I believe that things will be better. We can say
That's right, sir.
yes, the Soviet Union attacked United States, at the European Union, China, etc. But at the first place, the problem is within us. And
True.
I really believe that we, at the first place, have to realize that and to start to recover ourselves from that very bad position.
Right. Thank you very much. So, very linked to what you have just mentioned, that we need to reinvigorate the traditions within the Muslim society. So, this is very much associated with some of the intellectual tussles which are going in the Muslim societies, and one of them is about modernism and traditionalism. Like we have proponents of modernism who say that the Muslim societies have failed to embrace modernism, and basically traditionalism is an impediment in their development or intellectual development. And on the other hand, we have got some groups saying exactly the opposite. So if I ask you, would you count yourself with the conservative side or the modernist side, or you would have your own thoughts about it?
I'm conservative. I have to be. What else I can be? Why? Because the values are given to us by God Almighty, and this is not going to be changed. In that sense, it is conserved. It is preserved. We are believing in it and we are following it. But other thing, the other thing is how actually we are uh, walking through the time with these values, and how we are behaving in that ever-changing world in that sense. Now, let me be very clear with you. The first generation of the Muslims, they were totally conservative, but they embraced some novelties which were
Yeah.
not contradictory to the religion. In that sense, I think that we put in the folk so many things for us, thinking about some issues that they are not good, that they are haram, or that maybe they are halal, and we are actually in that fog. I believe losing the essence. What is the essence? Of course, that we are the conservatives. The God is one. Muhammad is his messenger. Quran is the last revelation, etc. It cannot be changed. It will never be changed. But in ever-changing world, we have to understand actually what can help us to build better, more secure societies. So not to, let's say, abandon modernity and everything
Yeah.
what goes with the modernity. It wasn't the case
So
1,000 years
basically,
ago.
the conservatism of Islam is not anti-modernism.
Anti-modernism in a way that we are aware that world is changing and that we have to find the best possible ways to act in the world. We cannot be
True.
against modernism. We cannot be against it. But against what we can be, we know the evils and the problems of the modernity, which are, let's say, uh, emphasized in last century with nakedness of the woman, with different approaches to the sexuality, etc. I just don't want to enlist everything. These issues, as a let's say, the
Sorry.
characteristics of modernism are in the confrontation with Islamic worldview. And of course, in that sense, I'm not modern man, because what I said previously, we have given chapters what is worthy, and not what is worthy only for this world, but for the hereafter.
Thank you very much. Actually, the topic is so wide that we can go on and we can keep benefiting from your thoughts on it. But if I may just, refer to a couple of other things, when we talk about the intellectual discourses in the Muslim Ummah or in the Muslim societies, and the different connotations of certain intellectual thoughts or intellectual ideas in the Muslim societies have also led to, a tussle between different groups in these societies, or differences, so they've created groups that are diametrically opposing from each other. So some of these concepts are like liberalism and secularism. So while some people think that liberalism and secularism are anti-religion or anti-Islam or anti-religiosity, on the other hand, other people think that Islam itself is liberal. So what do you take from these concepts?
It proves only that unfortunately our intellectual elite is not ready to discuss essentially, do we have a mission? Do we, as a Ummah,
True.
as a Muslims, do we have to do more for this world, in this world, for the people of this world? And that's why we are in these processes to defend secularism, to defend liberalism, or to defend democracy, etc. I believe that the Muslim way is unique way given by God. We only need to start think wise enough to understand that this multipolar world, this diverse world, will benefit from the Islamic concept of the state and the society. In that sense, we shouldn't look toward secularism, liberalism, or I don't know what else. We should look toward Islamic structure of the society and the state. But okay, because of the influence from different parts of the world, our intellectuals finish their PhDs in different countries. They somehow took these ideas as important ones. I agree with that as well. The world is operating in the Western Hemisphere dominantly at these phases. Liberalism is more similar to Islam. At the first place, it has that global worldview. The liberals also are thinking about global government as well, and the liberals actually are accepting the values, different values and traditions. The influence on the society and the state or state apparatus, it is quite different. While secularism, such this one in France, which invented the secularism, is somehow opposite to the Islamic view about society and the state. But I really believe, and what I am advocating, that we should turn to ourselves to explain to ourselves what it means to build a bigger Muslim society on the Muslim values. In that sense, we will forget very soon and secularism and liberalism and communism and everything else. We can say that democracy somehow through the concept of shura is something, but the society, because shura has to sit down to discuss issues and appoint Khalifa or governor of the province, etc. I'm talking from the historical
Right.
perspective right now. So turn to ourselves. Of course, in that sense, in these intellectuals probably will start to think about Muslim geography in this direction, because we see that the implementation of the foreign ideologies during the 20th century brought nothing to the Muslim world. Some cases we can say maybe were successful or not, but generally speaking, it brought nothing to the Muslim geography. Unfortunately, we went through the different wars, the revolutions, the implementation of socialism, Arab socialism in the Middle East, communism in some other places, some world democracy in other, etc. So I understand it from this point of view. But again, we have to turn to ourselves and to think what, as a society, or if you want, as intellectuals, is our mission to spread to the people, to talk to the people, and to explain to the people this diverse world. I strongly believe in it right now needs a Muslim society as a guidance for the future.
Okay, so if I may firstly, request you to summarize it. So basically, we can say that first of all, the problem is within. Then secondly, we need to go back. We need to reinvigorate from our foundations or traditions. And thirdly, we are conservative, but that is not completely anti-modernist conservatism. And then Islam is liberal in a way, but on the other hand, the divorce of society and religion that the secularism calls for, that is not compatible with Islam. And then we need to make institutions.
It can be like that, yes.
Okay, so actually there are scores of topics which we want you to enlighten us about, but for today we would thank you for your time. Thank you very much for making to today's interview and your precious time.
Thank you, and I really do hope that these efforts that you are actually taking will contribute to the Muslims, and inshallah that everything that we discussed, me or some other colleagues, will reach the Muslims all around the world, and that we will start to build our confidence at last.
Looking at the critical and contemporary issues facing the Muslim world from different perspectives, generating new ideas, bringing to you all this and a lot more in Voices from the Muslim World.